What if the most important events in your life are the ones you never see coming? What if history, success, failure, and fortune are shaped not by predictable patterns, but by rare, extreme, and unexpected events? And what if our greatest weakness as humans is not uncertainty itself, but our illusion that we understand the world? These are the ideas explored in The Black Swan by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, a book that radically changes how we think about randomness, risk, and the limits of human knowledge. Taleb introduces the concept of a black swan event. A black swan has three defining characteristics. First, it is unpredictable. Second, it has a massive impact. Third, after it happens, people create explanations that make it seem predictable in hindsight. Major financial crashes, world-changing technologies, wars, and personal turning points often fit this pattern. We do not anticipate them, but once they occur, we convince ourselves they were obvious all along. Taleb argues that most of what shapes the world comes from these rare events, not from normal, predictable trends. Yet humans and institutions spend enormous effort trying to forecast the future using models that ignore extreme outcomes. This creates a dangerous blind spot. We plan for what we expect and remain unprepared for what actually matters. A central theme of The Black Swan is the fallacy of prediction. Humans are naturally drawn to stories, patterns, and explanations. We crave certainty, but the world is far more complex and random than we admit. Taleb explains that our brains are wired to simplify reality, often at the cost of accuracy. We mistake confidence for knowledge and narratives for truth. One of the most important ideas in the book is the narrative fallacy. After an event occurs, we create stories that explain why it happened. These stories give us comfort and the illusion of understanding, but they hide the role of randomness. By focusing on explanations after the fact, we underestimate uncertainty and overestimate our ability to predict the future. Taleb also introduces the concept of silent evidence. We tend to focus on visible successes and ignore invisible failures. For example, we study successful entrepreneurs, but forget about the countless failures who used the same strategies. This leads to distorted conclusions. Survival hides the full picture. The absence of evidence is often mistaken for evidence of absence. Another major idea in the book is the difference between two types of worlds. In one world, outcomes are predictable and follow normal distributions. Human height is an example. Extreme cases exist, but they do not dominate the average. In the other world, outcomes are driven by extremes. Wealth, book sales, social media influence, and market returns fall into this category. In these domains, a few extreme events account for most results. Taleb argues that modern society increasingly operates in this second world, where black swans dominate. Taleb criticizes experts who claim authority in complex systems. In fields like economics, finance, and politics, predictions often fail spectacularly, yet experts rarely face consequences for being wrong. Taleb argues that true knowledge requires humility. The more complex the system, the less predictable it is. Confidence should decrease as complexity increases, not the other way around. The book also explores the danger of overconfidence. Humans systematically overestimate what they know and underestimate what they do not know. This leads to fragile decisions. When people believe they understand the future, they take risks they do not fully comprehend. Overconfidence is often more dangerous than ignorance. Taleb emphasizes that randomness plays a much larger role in success than most people admit. Many outcomes attributed to skill are heavily influenced by luck. This does not mean skill is irrelevant, but it means results are often misleading. Judging ability based on outcomes alone can be deceptive. A good decision can lead to a bad result. A bad decision can appear successful. Another key lesson from the Black Swan is the illusion of stability. Periods of calm often hide accumulating risk. Just because nothing has gone wrong does not mean nothing can go wrong. In fact, long periods without volatility can make systems more fragile. When shocks finally occur, the damage is greater. Taleb also discusses the idea of epistemic humility. This means accepting the limits of knowledge. Wisdom comes from knowing what you do not know. Instead of trying to predict specific outcomes, Taleb encourages preparing for uncertainty. Robustness and anti-fragility matter more than accuracy. The book challenges modern education and professional culture. Taleb argues that formal training often teaches people to trust models more than reality. Models simplify the world, but reality is messy. Blind faith in models leads to catastrophic errors when assumptions fail. Taleb introduces the idea that instead of asking what is likely to happen, we should ask what could happen. This shift changes risk management entirely. Preparing for extreme scenarios, even if they seem unlikely, can prevent disaster. Ignoring them because they are rare invites ruin. The Black Swan also explores how technology amplifies the impact of rare events. In a connected world, small changes can have massive consequences. A single invention, idea, or decision can affect millions. This increases both opportunity and risk. Modern life magnifies the effects of randomness. Taleb applies these ideas to personal life as well. Careers, relationships, and opportunities are often shaped by unexpected encounters and chance events. Trying to plan every detail can be limiting. Leaving room for randomness creates opportunity. Optionality allows positive surprises while limiting downside. Another important theme is skepticism towards certainty. Taleb urges readers to question confident claims, especially when stakes are high. The more someone claims to know the future, the more cautious you should be. Reality punishes arrogance. The book also explains why humans are poor at understanding probability. We focus on averages and ignore extremes. But extremes matter most. One rare event can outweigh years of normal outcomes. Preparing for extremes is not pessimism, it is realism. Taleb emphasizes that avoiding ruin is more important than seeking success. You cannot benefit from opportunity if you are destroyed by a single bad event. Survival comes first. Once survival is secured, opportunity follows. The deeper message of the Black Swan is not despair, but empowerment. Accepting uncertainty frees us from false confidence. It encourages humility, resilience, and adaptability. When we stop pretending we can predict everything, we start making better decisions. The big takeaway from the Black Swan is clear. The world is far more unpredictable than we think. Rare events shape history, markets, and lives. Instead of trying to forecast the future, we should design our lives and systems to withstand and benefit from uncertainty. Respect randomness, reduce fragility, embrace humility. So where in your life are you assuming predictability? Where might unseen risks be hiding? And how could you build more resilience and optionality instead of relying on forecasts? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this summary, like this video, subscribe to 10-Minute Books, and tap the bell so you never miss our weekly deep dives into life-changing books. Remember, the future will surprise you. The question is whether you are prepared for it.